framework of the initiative meet the criteria for localizing the latest technologies in the industry, in addition to proportions of a high local component that are gradually increased to ensure reducing the import gap as well as the integration between large, medium, and small industries. The initiative has succeeded in assembling the competing manufacturers within the same sector to localize nutritious industries that require large-scale production and consumption of the product by an alliance of local investors.
Yes, sir. Magdi, Marwa Fahim, thank you very much for the detailed comprehensive report. Well, it's IBDA or START, one of the initiatives sponsored by the state to support the new entrepreneurs, the new startups, and to instill or to localize our industry in various domains, by the way, and to make sure that we are having the best usage and we benefit from all our natural resources, our raw materials, and our production components are ours. Instead of exporting our raw materials, no, we are manufacturing our raw materials and then to increase our exports in a different manner for our best interest. Well, also President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi attended the inauguration of the second International Manufacturing Convention and Exhibition recently, and he addressed the attendees. He also inaugurated some of the technical schools via video conference, and he toured the exhibition as he talked with those in each pavilion, knowing more about their demands, their needs, any obstacles on the way, and to shed more light on the important event. We are very much delighted to have with us live here in the studio His Excellency Ambassador Ayoub, Mahmoud Ayoub, former Ministerial Commercial. Thank you very much for being with us, sir.
Thank you. Good morning to you and to the viewers.
Sir, as I said in my intro, among the most important things or incidents which took place during this inauguration is that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi inaugurated some technical schools. When it comes to vocational education, it's now part and parcel of our economic, let's say, orchestra, economic symphony.
Yes.
And if we want to move forward, vocational education is one of the key elements. I'd like you, if you please, to elaborate on that first.
We look to Arab countries. They are importing trained workers from Philippines, from Thailand, from Far East. This means what? Vocational training, which we are doing now, is important for both the local industry and, if I can say, as an export industry. So vocational training is vital. We do it from the school. They don't, it is not just lectures and lessons in the school.
Not training courses, but it's an education service through different school years. I mean, whether it's a 3-year academic studies or even 5 years.
In most cases, technical schools are part of some factories. So they take the physical training in factories where they will later on. So it is very important the local industry encourages training for the would-be workers and technicians in their own factories. This is one thing. Other thing which is very important. When the government is paving the way for technical schools, creating more technical schools and giving it enough support, financial and management and administration, this means that we are on the right course as far as technical training is concerned. As I mentioned, it is for both local industry and also as export commodity, which we need at this instance. Third thing, which is very important, most of the trainees, when they get proper training, they get higher wages or higher salary, higher wages from the factories when they work it. But if it is just theoretical training, it is nothing compared to what is actually needed in the market. So the factories, the local industry has a role to play in encouraging the new cadets, new generations, boys and girls, to venture in vocational training to raise their standard and also to raise their pay, which is very
Amen to that.
important.
Yes, sir, and the president in one of the pavilions, he was keen to stop at one of the those technical or vocational education schools, and he listened even to the students. They talked with the president about the untraditional way of learning they were involved in, and to speak about new fields. I mean, for example, marine industry, artificial intelligence, new terms.
Yes.
How do you see, taking into consideration that coping all the time with the latest developments and modernizing our curricula is a must, it's not a luxury?
When we see that the syllabus or programs in technical schools are coping with the needs of the market, we are always market oriented, we are always looking to what the market needs now. When you say artificial intelligence, this is a new area where many Egyptians, I know a good number of them, has ventured in this field, and they are exporting their outsourcing for many countries now. So we need to cope with the needs of the community, of the industry, and what is needed for tomorrow, not only for today. Technical schools are very important. When the president himself goes and encourages this means that the state as a whole is pushing forward this area of development, which is very important for the industry, for localization of industry, and also at some stage for exports, which is at the last destination is exports, as we know. We satisfy the local needs of the market, and we must keep in mind that we need to export. Why? Because we need the hard currency to import the inputs or raw materials and this kind of intermediaries to our industry. So the balance between exports and imports is very important, but before we reach that stage, the technical training and vocational training is
so it's very much it plays a very positive role in localizing our industry. Yes. Practically on the ground. Sir, I should seize the opportunity, since you are involved with the youth and you meet with the youth, with the civil society scattered all over Egypt, and with volunteers. The culture about vocational education or technical education. Unfortunately, and I don't know why, in our societies you would find the theoretical studies, with all my respect, and the universities and those graduates with bachelor degree and stuff like that, they thought, or we thought for specific times, of course, not now, that they are of a higher degree. Those who are working with their hand, or the craftsmen, despite the fact that they do have the utmost importance, at least right now when we knew that, they were being dealt as a second degree student or a second degree employee. Has this culture changed right now, or still we should work on that more?
I will say that it has already changed.
Great.
From the market needs. When I see that the pay for the university graduate is, let's say, 1,000 units of any currency, and the pay for the vocational trainee is 1,500. What does this mean? This means that all those who are still on the fence will venture in vocational training. This is what we are seeing today. Changes in mindset, changes in attitude, and also changes in the aspirations. In the last century, in 20th century, this was the case, that theoretical education was number one. But now has changed, and practical or vocational training is gaining ground in many areas. And when I see that the new generations are looking more to the vocational training than the theoretical training or theoretical studies, this is something promising which we should push and support all the time.
Amen to that. Among also the pavilions or booths which President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi was keen to visit and to exchange dialogue, it was the National Pharmaceutical Company. and to take into consideration that they do have very important goals and they're working on them. For example, to produce or the manufacturing of biological drugs and to produce at least 30% of the cancer drugs to meet the local market needs. And of course, we succeeded, thank God, to get rid of virus C, for example, with our generic medicine or generic drug regarding this virus. How do you see this in specific, as this is also part and parcel of the health sector, the health service introduced to the citizens by the public sector?
It shows a very important sector in the economy. That is the health sector. Because as we know, Egyptian manufacturing in pharmaceutical industries are developing very quickly now. Not in importing and putting it together and producing it, no, but rather in creating or inventing or devising new. Because why? We have the know-how. We have the medical services which are not available in many parts of the world. Third, we have the market. So this combination of the know-how, the materials, and the market makes a good product mix to make a development as far as manufacturing is concerned. This is one thing. Other thing is that when we look to the exports again, we found that the pharmaceutical industries are contributing about 23% of the total exports. This means a lot. Maybe it is a gauze and cotton products, but still it is medical products which are required and needed by the foreign markets. This means that this industry, investing in this industry, the value addition in it is very high, more than many other industries, more than agriculture, of course. So this is the right investment at the right timing, and it is good that the president himself went there and is supporting this sector. We are very pleased that he is supporting it, because this gives green light for the would-be investors.
Yes.
Please come and invest in these areas, because the demand is getting higher every day. Demand not only for the local market, but also for the export market.
And we localized this very important strategic industry, and thank God the Egyptian medicine, the Egyptian drugs have such a reputation, particularly in the Arab countries, treating many diseases. We hope that this is going to be also one of the important topics to be discussed in details after that. Sir, the SMEs. As usual, and in many of our interviews and my discussions, which I do enjoy with you every time on our screen, we spoke about the importance of SMEs. And the president himself in his speech said that the state is ready to eliminate any obstacles on the way for the SMEs, and even to increase the bundle of incentives given to new investors. If you please, I'd like you to elaborate on that too.
This is a big green light to industry. When the president himself gathers, sits with the investors and would-be investors and listens to them, see what they want, what they are complaining of, and what are worries, and gives directions that within 60 days, not 2 months, within 60 days, all the problems will be solved. This means that he is giving a green light to the investors and would-be investors, and encouraging those who are hoarding money to venture in industries like pharmaceutical industry and other industries. This is one thing. Other thing is that when we look to the desert, to western desert, Siwa, Kharga, and the Dakhla, and all Oasis, and Farafra, and all, and you find a lot of medical herbs are grown there, and many scientists coming from overseas to collect samples to increase the productivity. This means that we have a natural resources which should be properly utilized and made use of, and luckily we have now a strong pharmaceutical industry which is making use of what we have, and what we have a comparative advantage or relative advantage is that is the medical herbs which you have. There is a lot which you already export to France and other countries from Fayoum and other parts of the Upper Egypt. We are very pleased that the government is keen to support and help this kind of localization of industry and to increase the potential of the would-be investors and encourage them, please come in. There are a lot of things which you can do in Egypt.
And to add to what you have just said, sir, the exhibition was an opportunity for more investors and new startups to go and to see themselves what's going on and what are the markets that they have to encourage them to continue with searching, not searching only, to implement on the ground their innovative ideas. Everyone who is thinking out of the box with innovative manner, he is going to find his targets or his goals on the ground. For example, it was yesterday announced by Mr. Walid Gamaluddin, the president or the executive chief of the Suez Canal Economic Zone, that 60 projects were signed on the ground during this exhibition.
60 projects,
yeah,
means 60 investors, means transfer of know-how, means foreign currency and foreign money is coming to Egypt, means job opportunities, and means at the end of the day raising the standard of living of Egypt and creating the areas of interest and creating the export potential for many industries that look not only to the local market but the market in the Arab countries and the African countries. I have worked in Arab countries and African countries, and I know for sure that pharmaceutical industries, for example, have a very good potential because we already exported medicines, manufactured medicines to many African countries, and we should proceed in that direction because the value addition is very high.
Yeah.
This is one thing. Other thing which is very important, when we are exporting pharmaceutical products in one country, this means that we can export the same product to neighboring country. This is one thing. Other thing which is very equally important from marketing point of view, that if I succeed in a certain market with a certain product, I can add another product in the same market because I've experienced channels of distributions.
I paved the way.
Yes,
I mean, now the environment is ready to receive more and more because I had my reputation as a producer, and this is it. Sir, we are going to turn to that, but I want to also talk about financial inclusion, about green economy, about sustainability, about competitiveness. Now you would find the investors studying. I mean, what they are doing is based on scientific rules, scientific basis, visibility, very accurate visibility studies. It's not haphazardly anymore. Now, I think our economic field is getting, I don't know how to describe it, more accurate, more scientific, more well-studied. I want to know more about this.
When the Minister of Industry is giving a roadmap and preparing 15 joint ventures for the foreign investors. When we say 15 joint ventures, as an example, it is giving all the details which are necessary for the investor, making it easier for him to take decision as soon as possible so that it materializes in transfer of technology and transfer of foreign capital to Egypt, which is very important. The Ministry of Industry in this aspect, it is not just giving a roadmap, but rather giving details of the projects which are needed and the location, and they are giving every possible facilitation for the would-be investors to come and invest.
And our banking sector, it's not only about loans or giving money, it's financial and non-financial services. Meaning that it's not that we are going to give you money and that's it. If you wanna know more about certain thing, if you wanna have support in certain field, you are going to be supported. And if you permit me, I want to read this or some statements which were said by Mr. Gemaluddin, the CS zone chief, when he spoke about participating in this exhibition we are talking about. He said that the participation in the second edition of the International Manufacturing Convention and Exhibition is significant, as it showcases its 4 industrial zones and 6 seaports that have been equipped with international standard infrastructure at $3 billion US. Marketing.
Billions of US dollars. You said billions of US dollars. You said infrastructure. During, let us say, the last 10 years, we have seen a lot of infrastructure projects implemented in Egypt, whether in power, in roads, in ports and facilities. This means that the foreign investor is coming on a paved road for his industry and for his new project. Why he's coming to Egypt? Because he knows that the infrastructure is there, power is there, the government is pro-investors, and most importantly, a big local market. Any industry can develops very well when it has big local market, and we have this market of 110 million consumers.
He added that the Suez Canal economic zone strategy aims to localize 21 industrial service sectors, including green fuel industry and its related industry. And he stressed that the CS zone is an integrated part of the Egyptian state strategy to localize the auto industry, and invited the visitors to the exhibition to learn more about different industrial sectors.
This golden triangle of Suez Canal is very important for the Egyptian economy.
Yeah.
When the chief of this organization is paving the way and giving details and doing his best to push in every possible way what is needed by the investors, this materializes in the figure $64 billion, which is something which is heartening. It is really, it is very good, because it not only for those who are there, but also for others who are thinking of new investment opportunities, new investment locations. It is Egypt where they come to, and they can succeed. This is one thing. Other thing which is very important, when the state and the government and the president himself is giving strong support to the would-be investors for localization of industry and for vocational training, this means that we are on the right course as far as economic policy is concerned, and this will materialize in more job opportunities and raising the level standard of living in Egypt. It will take some time, but it has begun, and we are pleased that the president himself is leading the way in this direction.
And sir, when it comes to such events or such exhibitions, it's not only an exhibition and that's it. It's a platform, a place or an opportunity seized, for example, by such an important sector like the Suez Canal Economic Zone, to sign more deals on the ground, to meet new investors, to invade new markets, to speak about green economy, digital transformation, taking into consideration that auto industry is a heavy industry, side by side with a company only, or a very small project only containing 2 or 3 people, meaning that in parallel or side by side we are taking care of both.
This golden triangle, it is not just a pathway for waterway for the international trade, but rather export opportunity, green energy which is exported to the ships who are going and coming, maintenance in that area, and creating new job opportunities and creating a hub for industrial development in this golden triangle. It has all the components, all the needs, what is needed in the capital and the know-how, and we are seeing it materializing and in the form of investors who are coming to invest $64 new investors, investment projects. This means a lot. 64 in such a short time, this means a lot to us and to the economy, and it reflects tomorrow, and at the end of this year, we will see something cropping up in this area of Egypt.
Inshallah. Sir, also among the other pavilions, President Sisi was keen to stop at and to talk with the people there. Yachting. I didn't know, forgive my ignorance, that we do have yacht tourism or yachting tourism, and there are presidential directions even to have the logistics, maritime, yachting, maintenance, repair, you name it. And the president was briefed on the latest developments in this domain, and inshallah Egypt is going to be one of the hubs of yachting tourism and yachting industry, I think not only regionally but internationally. How do you see so? How do you see that? I'm sorry.
It is a new venture.
Yes.
New area which Egypt is venturing in now and is welcoming it, because we have our borders on the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea and the long River Nile. This is the best location for yachting as far as the foreign yachting people are coming to Egypt to enjoy many things at the same time, not only touristic places, but even when you go to Marsa Alam or Hurghada or other places.
It's also to rest, to refuel, to enjoy such perfect maintenance. I mean, this is going to be another way of introducing Egypt to the world. If you agree with me on that.
It is a new industry which we are creating now. It is a new industry.
I mean, for example, we do have strategic partnership with China, for example.
Yes.
And of course, when it comes to maritime industry, China is on top of the world. How do you see exchanging expertise with such friends like China to make sure that what we are doing is being done upon the latest international standards? I mean, we are building, or we are starting from which the others end.
When we are seeing big investors coming from China to Egypt, whether to the Golden Triangle of Suez Canal or elsewhere, this means that there is a lot of opportunities in Egypt as far as yachting and other industries are concerned. This is one thing. There is something else which is very important. With the rise, escalation in the level standard of living in China, this means that more affluent people, more are there, and more would-be tourists are in China and coming to Egypt. So it is a multi-dimensional approach when we are encouraging Chinese investors to come to Egypt, Golden Triangle, or to the valley itself, or even as far as Siwa. I have seen them there. This means that a lot of investment opportunities for the Chinese and else and other countries to come.
There is a competition now as we speak between China and Russia. Who is going to, which of them is going to start activating their industrial zone in the Suez Canal economic zone? But I mentioned this as only an example because already the president talked with or had this dialogue with yachting investors or investors in the field of yachting industry. But it's only an example because, for example, it was also announced yesterday that a high-profile French company in the field of electricity want to double their investments here in Egypt. Another high-profile energy German company, an auto company, want to also double their investments here in Egypt. A South Korean high-profile company want to also double their industries here in Egypt. How do you see taking into account that it's a must to have investors from all over the world according to their specialities and to learn from them and to try to implement the technology, or the technology transfer is here a key word to continue ourselves on a better way or on the right path?
A pragmatic approach was taken by the government and by the state and the president, encouraging the would-be investors to come, and they came. Whether from France, as you mentioned, from South Korea and Japan, or from Germany and the other parts of the world, or Russia and China, of course. This means that Egypt is turning to be a hub for new investors in many industries. Green energy, power as a whole, in logistics, and which is very important, in information technology, which is in artificial intelligence. All these are areas where
and
Egypt,
outsourcing. You
yes,
mentioned outsourcing, and outsourcing is also another gate.
Yes, please.
Ambassador Ayoub, I'm all the time enjoying our discussion, and all the time I do have more questions, but unfortunately we're running out of time, and we're going to start to leave you again with a promise to see you again in more episodes of our programs and on Nile TV screen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, and to the viewers.
Right after the short break, we are going to return back. We were very much delighted to have with us live here in the studio our dear guest, Ambassador Ayoub, Mahmoud Ayoub, former Minister Commercial. Right after this, we are going to be back with more.
قلنا وعملنا وكنا قدها قد كلامنا قابلنا الصعب كتير